Assalamu alaikum badu gambiano lum badu west ko sunkolu alnali badi malam honorable Omar Bon Dabo ale fano nyima ke kayro kono alaman tinya kayla alaman sutrola alaman demala alaman na duwal jabila na katabe dame wala mu commune ne ngam faale non ko nyi OIC Gambia man na fa soto je ay tinyale OIC ngam min moye je sai min be fundika wala mu Ibrahima Silla tata radio tole ako OIC imman kodike nyin silo to pour ka doku hani bututo e make ja ko Gambia government le 33 million keje wodol be mu don torolati Ibrahima Silla wala fo bari ngatandi mo la ko Ibrahima Silla internet la wala fo dan nimbe fala because abuka to nyafo okay bari ngaje min fundi da sani wala indiko OIC ko ye $300 million million keme saba dollaro ye wala di Gambia government la enin Adama Barrow sita ina kachata katandi la ko OIC silo kola sila mwanne nyanta do kula nyinko do kono $80 million nyanta tala 5-star hotel ol $80 million wala nyanta tala 5-star hotel ol ye $300 million min di Gambia government lan ko le falede $80 million o nyanta tala 5-star hotel ol $100 million nyanta tala silo leto $50 million nyanta tala airport ol so woto malu wala fana dole nyanta tala motor leto dole nyanta tala kudol leto okay OIC nyinne fo ko 300 million di tam Gambia government OIC sila ko la sila muang sa man sila muang de min do kuta wo ko do dunta dami malo 5-star hotel o mallo $80 million so nyanta dunna dami mawoje airport o nyanta do kula $50 million so min mawo fananje OIC sila min main road min do kuta wo fana man do kuku 100 million min dunta wo fana to mawo fananje Ibrahima Silla ko tole 33 million ke je to don tole ako bawo silo be nyanta tala $150 million ate wala mu 72 km of road ako 150 million dollars 72 kilometers of road 150 million dollars ako nyanta tala okay bari nata deko OIC la $300 million o kola Saudi Arabia ni nyimban kudol fanaye bulo lanyo kay nata $250 million le di Gambia government la $250 million o mi adi Gambia government la ni ala nyo kanim OIC la kodo abita $550 million wala dita Adama Barrow la masakunda sani nyin kodo dunta mun tole nyin kodo la depenso manje nyin kodo dunta dame malon nyin kodo yusa dame malon ferio panta ferio ka fenne dundi luwolu lola ka miliye wala dundi silo ni ado ko bantale ferio min ka fendundi ima sanno nyin kodo kono iman ferio sanno nyin kodo kono feri kuto iman sila kendo do ku nonye iman sila muwango do ku nonye iman na airport do ku iman 5-star hotel lo sanyi na kodo dunta buntole e murtani la fego sunya ngaje ali fundi tale ka fu mole ko atol fona nal tamate kala fego sunyale Adama Barrow na la man sakunda ka balanto na ale to nya min sabatindi ni balanto to nya le ka tubatani jarabo le kono ale kana dum problem do le kono katake ka tu nyimbatani nyin jarabo anin ka nyim faniyata ka tembendi katalo social media katalo radio do katalo TV station do kataka faniya bafu banku dimole nyin ko do la ko dal kana walla bari OIC secteur tulo ballalde alsabiyam wo kola ko take ali jelle donto nyum $550 million so kola ali jelle donto do salbe donto ro kekanne Ibrahima Silla kalibe donto ro la ali donto ro le fananke pour ka nyisilol doku sani OIC la kodo dum damin yalo nga faale jankale ko nka nyimmin foye ko 5-star hotel o nyanta lola mallo silo le nyanta doku le man doku OIC kodo mindi Adama la masakundale ya domole Ibrahima Silla ka jele bak abe jele bayka wala na ko OIC man ko dikaje bar OIC fele funtide ko inin Adama Barrow sita la official kono secteur ni Adama Barrow sita la official kono $300 million anyanta use la nyame yabe fu Adama e sila muang 5-star hotel airport motol anin kudol anda kala nyame yabe file nin ko do dunta nyame mo malon o wasi fa malon so Gambia be tamaka tenne nimbe nyim fola alikad nen ena murun ko take bi ka fundi ka fu mole ko iko justice judiciary justice iko e wali jo karnan kodo minne alawanso min lela kodo kan wali so nyim karnan kodo sayndi man sakunda ko e tolte alawanso jolano transport ni nyim kudo li kete jolano iko bar judiciary se because ne tolle la letarode nga judiciary la memoje e safa memo minna ye copy ko karnani January February March April ise kodo mi ya lela kodo kan pour alawanso isa sayndi man sakunda masakunda ko itolta alawan so jolano nimko ajakalo warta na bata ibata dollar million de sunya kan sani iketate banku dingol jolano yalla mbota nyinde fola jall last week nko procurement fraud le bida ani leadership fraud ite min be mol nyaato tele marta na fulola ite ka garde ika molla na fulo be te ka sunya ite min marta dapanso le tele ka dapanso ankase nyenta jelle sanna nyenta jelle dunen kundo nim million le ko million tan ale million ko to be sunya wala be gambia banko kan banko dingol nyenta do ko min kala pour e kontano so ila banku do ko te ye jo salary kendola banko dingol man woso adama la basakunda ko sani adama te do kula ate molo jola e betea amantara banko do kukan amantara banko dingol mako e kan wala the welfare of the people service ni salary wala administration development wala ka banko do ko silo ni fen dole welfare of the people wala banko dingol libe mako e la nyaadi nyimbe mantara tamakam banko kan nyanda hakilo tula bakele Adama Barrow ay Gambia tiñale adanna tambita Adama Barrow ay Gambia tiñale adanna tambita be tambo min to Gambia tiñata fa adanna tambita andu nenda hakilo tula bakel na lela moy ni audio la lela moy ni na akamune fo ya moy alila moy
The OIC is a step in the right direction and we are proud of it as Gambians. But with a financially illiterate government in charge of its funds, this only spells one thing: uncalculated spending. Stay tuned as we bring you the worst government spending of all time. Let's dive right in. The Great Republic of the Gambia has just witnessed and hosted the mighty OIC summit, all thanks to one man, President Adama Barrow. The OIC is the second largest gathering of world leaders or intergovernmental organizations in the world after the United Nations. For the Gambia to host such an honorable gathering means a lot to the country. Therefore, we thank all the people who worked tirelessly to make such an auspicious occasion a successful one. Upon choosing the Gambia, the OIC allocated a sum of $300 million to the Gambia for them to use as one of the benefits that comes with hosting the summit. This is not a loan, but a grant, which means it is not to be paid back. This is free money, a rare opportunity that doesn't come around often. Therefore, once obtained, all hands must be on deck in making the money well spent. However, this is easier said than done. The OIC funds were utterly misused, so much so that the government had to borrow to cover some costs. This once again has proven the government's lack of adequate financial literacy and fiscal management over and over again. This has been the case since the government came into power in 2017 till date. The same mistake happens over and over again. It is either the government is not appraising their work or they believe this wrong approach is the right thing to do. But what are we talking about here? Let's start by looking at some of the things the $300 million was spent on. The OIC Gambia Secretariat was mandated by the Office of the President to mobilize resources and embark on key infrastructural projects ahead of the summit. The CEO stated that his secretariat had identified 5 key priority infrastructural projects, including the construction of a 100 kilometers road with a dual carriage known as Birdle-Harding Highway, also called OIC Road, the construction of 60 royal and presidential villas for heads of state, construction of a 400-bedroom, 5-star hotel, construction of a VVIP lounge at the airport, procurement of vehicles for visiting heads of states and delegates, as well as the provision of water and electricity infrastructure within the OIC residence areas, among other projects. He noted that out of the projected budget, $80 million is earmarked for the construction of the hotel, $100 million for the construction of access roads, $15 million for the construction of the airport lounge, plus $13 million for the provision of electricity and water, adding that his office is doing everything possible to garner the funds needed for the successful hosting of the summit in Banjul. Out of the overall budget for the OIC summit, $260 million came from member states of the organization, including Saudi Arabia, Turkey, Kuwait, Oman, and Bahrain. The OIC Secretariat Chief said, just to put it simply, almost all of the OIC funds were spent on infrastructural liabilities, with the biggest of them being the Birdle-Harding Highway, also known as the OIC Road, as well as over 20 other individual roads predominantly around the Combo region. This shows clear evidence of the government's heavy prioritization of liabilities. The majority of these projects are very unnecessary and the funds could have been used for something more productive. Clearly, the government of the Gambia is big on spending, which explains the country's massive fiscal deficit, which is when the government spends more than its revenue. This eventually leads to borrowing if care is not taken. This is the situation of the little Gambia. The government often complains of not having enough funds. Despite this, they are unwilling to give up their careless and uncalculated spending. The funds were used for the construction of the 20 OIC roads. Some could have been used to rebuild the Banjulbara ferry crossing point by buying new ferries. The ferries bring in millions of dalasis every day, while the OIC roads will only take money from the government, as well as the numerous road fatalities it brought along, therefore ensuring the continuous running of the ferries.
So Ali Amoyle ya de ko do na fulo dunta nyindula de ma tinya ta nyamin fana ntol man nyimbe de nyala so Gambia be tinya kan ni sembola Adama Barrow nyenta hakilo tula to bakele Adama is very dangerous nimman hakilo to Adama Barrow ta be banko tinya dal andum banko tinya ta na tambita ntol tamun na bankoti ali nga fere ke na banko bondi Adama Barrow bulu nyinna fulo mimbe na ta be tinya ta Gambia nyinta kel Dubai let ya jambe kan nyinda fo 2020 abe Gambia kel Dubai ti nyinna tinna ka ba kel Dubai bar ko do dia dunta min ni million be dunta mun to zero al ko le be do ko la Adama Barrow nyimmalo warta ba Gambia no nyenta ka kilo tulal ntolla be tinya kande nyunu mimbe ko do sunyala nyunu mimbe na furu kasaro la woli be Adama fasala albe moyle radio ni television te be fati be fati afala drong pour la place au kana boy buli to la balu e sonea ntol min kan na mo jun to batani ni to roko Gambia be tama kanten alsina ila mo Ibrahima Sillani Dr. Sisela ibita radio te be fani ada male fala sa ka wala yuso mo fulola mo bari be fako tinya le ne wala ndisal place o mambete dunia fego so Gambia be tenne assalamu alaikum nale badi mal horrible boni na number 7749446 assalamu alaikum ni munna YouTube channel